Hey everyone, John here. And since the news of PlayStation pulling out of physical games in 2028 came to be, there's been a lot of focus on the Switch 2 physical landscape, and it's become increasingly obvious that not everybody fully gets it. And so I wanted to run through what it's like right now, what you can get, what are the benefits to each format, and why it is the way it is. So just to start off very surface level, there are basically three types of physical Switch 2 game. You get one like Star Fox, which is entirely on the game card. There are far more like this, like Indiana Jones, or Cyberpunk, or Bubsy 4D, or Kirby Air Riders, and basically every first-party Nintendo game and a few third-party games. The gist with these is you open the box, you take the game card out, you put it in your Switch 2, and it's ready to play. These are at maximum capacity of 64 gigabytes, and that was the only capacity for a while, but it does seem like some smaller capacities have come into being, which should be cheaper and make these games a little bit more of available than they have been in the past. And then there's the other form of physical full game card, which is the Switch 2 edition. There's a few of these out there. Basically, any game that gets a Switch 2 upgrade pack on the eShop has to have a full physical version. These can't come on game key cards. So if I were to take this, Hades 2, you can see there's a small print down here which says this game contains the Switch 2 edition of the game and the Nintendo Switch game, which means not only can you play it on a Switch 2 by just popping the game card in, but you can also play it on a Switch 1. Let me demonstrate that real quick. There it is right here. So if I were to open up my Switch 1's game card slot, which I'm not used to doing, there we go, put the game card in, and then open the menu up, and as you can see, Hades 2 appears right there. And I can do the exact same thing with a Nintendo Switch 2. Again, there's no download on this whatsoever, it's all on the game card. You can walk out of a shop and straight away play a Nintendo Switch 2 edition game, or a regular Switch 2 game card. And again, there's Hades 2 right there. And that brings us to the final format, and the most, infamous, I suppose, which is the game key card. Anything that has this banner here. These also come on a game card, but you'll notice right there, there's a key in the corner. And basically, these are not 64 gigabytes. These barely have anything on them other than an activation code. There's no game data on these things. You put this into your Switch 2, and it's going to ask you to download the game. However, it is not code in a box. I guess that's the secret fourth format that these games can come in. There are differences between a game key card and code in a box, the biggest one being, let's take Pokopia for instance, because it's on both of my wife and mine Switch right now. Pokopia, I can put it in my Switch 2 right now. So we're gonna take out Hades, put in Pokopia, and I should be able to just boot the game up right now. There you go, it's going to work straight away because it's fully downloaded on my Switch. But I can also take it out of my Switch, pick up my wife's Switch, which is right here, put Pokopia in, and do the exact same thing on hers. Pokopia is going to appear right there. And again, I can boot the game up just fine. So a code in the box is tied to an account. A game key card is not. In fact, you don't even need a Nintendo account at all on your Switch 2 to play a game key card. You can have zero access to the eShop and it's still going to download it because a game key card is not looking for eShop flags. You can get a game prior to launch, which my colleague Daniel did. He had The Adventures of Elliot a few days before it came out on the eShop, and the game key card still downloaded because it's not looking for eShop availability, it's looking for whether the data is on Nintendo servers. So much like how you can still download WiiWare, or 3DS, or Wii U, or Xbox 360 games, you'll still be able to most likely, we haven't had a delisted game yet, but download a delisted game from a game key card, regardless of whether it's on the eShop. We know at the very least you can do it prior, so almost certainly you can. Now the next question is, why is it this way? Why are there game key cards? And I think before we do that, we first have to look at PS5. So this is a regular PS5 disc, Expedition 33, and it would cost the manufacturer around $1.50 to do not only the disc, but the case as well. A Blu-ray disc costs around 50 cents to print, which means a game like FF7 Rebirth, which has two discs, I love these discs by the way, because if I take this one out, flip it over, and put it next to the other disc, It's like clouds jumping for Sephiroth. But this would be an extra 50 cents. So a 2-disc format like this would be around $2, and there's games like Red Dead Redemption 2 that do that as well. And a regular Ultra HD Blu-ray disc can hold up to 100 gigabytes, and so 2 of them would be around 200 gigabytes. So a game like this, which comes in at around 150 gigabytes, has to fit on 2 discs, but most games can fit on 1 disc. Now, game key cards cost $5 to manufacture. I think you can understand why that may be, because discs are more largely produced, whereas Nintendo Switch game cards are, they're a proprietary format. Only Nintendo use them. And so the cost goes up and up and up, even though there's nothing on them. A game key card, $5. So around 4 times the cost of a regular disc. And then a regular game card, not a game key card, takes you to around. So if I were to get Star Fox here, this would cost around $15 to produce. So a lot more, over 10 times the cost of a disc. So you can understand from a cost perspective why some publishers would be going for game key cards. You can take games like Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S, which are like 4 GB in size. They could fit on a game card, no problem whatsoever, but they've opted to save the costs. It's not about storage, it's about costs. There are some games out there, like if I were to take, let's see, FF7 Remake Integrate. This is around 100 gigabytes. It wouldn't fit on a 64 gigabyte game card, so maybe you can understand why they would go for it in this case. And also some developers have said that the actual data streaming is a lot faster on digital, which we know to be true. If you were to compare the loading times in Mario Kart World, for instance, the game card is the slowest, followed by microSD Express, followed by the fastest being just the internal storage on the Switch 2. Now, there are, of course, benefits and drawbacks to all of these formats, and let's just focus on game key cards for now. So I think the big drawback is, of course, is using up your internal storage. If you buy a game card for Indiana Jones, for instance, this is around 60 gigabytes. But because it's all on the game card, I'm not using up my internal storage with that. It's all just going to be on here, which is the most ideal way to have it. However, if you take a game like Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, this is like 6 gigabytes, and you've got to download that. It's going to all add up on your storage, especially with big games like FF7 Remake and FF7 Rebirth. That's almost your entire Switch 2 storage used up on 2 different games, which sucks big time. But compared to digital, I think game key cards has still a lot of benefits, and one of the biggest ones being, as I demonstrated with Pokopia, they're not tied to accounts. So you buy an eShop game, and that's on your account, and your account only. With Nintendo's virtual game card setup, you can loan your games, but only locally. So you have to be next to them, or be in the same family, and be next to each other at least once. So it's definitely got hurdles to lending games, where with a game key card, I can take, East 10 Proud Nordics, just give it to a friend and they can have it for as long as they want, or I can post it internationally to a friend, or I can sell it. And that's the thing, I've seen a lot of misconceptions about these being one-time use. It's absolutely not the case. These are infinite use. So you can sell it, and sell it, and sell it, and sell it. It doesn't matter who has owned it previously, it's gonna work, no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's still installed on their Switch 2, they can't access it without the game key card being in there anyway. So these operate like a regular game card when it comes to the value of reselling them and lending them. They don't have the limitations of digital, and they're not tied to any account. So there are benefits over it. The main drawback being, you've got to keep your game key card in your Switch 2 to actually play it. So you don't have, the ease of access of just going through a menu and booting games up. You've still got to go through and put a card in to play the game. But that's just the usual physical and digital divide anyway. So that's largely why a game key card exists. It's just cost, really. A regular game key card is $5, a regular game card is $15. That's most of the time the reason why a game is on a game key card. It could be because it's just larger than 64 gigs and they couldn't squish it down. Or it could be in the case of Star Wars Outlaws, the publisher has said that to stream the world in, you do need to have SSD-like speeds, which the game card couldn't meet. So that could also be the reason, but in 99% of the circumstances, it is just publisher cost, which obviously we shouldn't be worrying about, but realistically, when it comes to the retailer taking a cut and the manufacturing taking a big cut with $15, you can understand why they go that route. But obviously, we do support game cards when we can. It's the ideal format for these games to come in, and every Nintendo game other than Pokopia is using them. So at least when it comes to first party, you can rely on just being able to put your game card in and play the game. There are game key cards, basically, on other platforms too. For instance, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a full game card on Switch too, but on PS5, that is a game key card. It's a game where you put the disc in, and there's nothing on the disc. You download the game. The same's true for games like Oblivion. There's 20 gigabytes on that disc, and the game's 120 gigabytes. So you're downloading an extra 100 gigabytes. They could have put more on the disc if they wanted to, or they could have done 2 discs to get it all in. But instead they give you just a small amount on the disc and most of it to download. So these definitely do exist on other platforms. They existed before game key cards even became a thing. But that being said, use your own standards. If you think that, physical games should always just be on the cartridge, that's your standard. For me personally, the ownership and asset of a game is quite a big part of it to me. Like, if I don't love a game and I want to sell it afterwards, or if I want to lend it to somebody, I want to have that ability, and a game key card doesn't take that away. I'd still always go for a game card, but it's not a deal breaker when I can still sell them and not have my money just be taken into a digital void. That's basically where it comes out for me, but everyone has different standards, and you should abide by your own, and let your own be your own. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope this explained it a little bit for those who didn't fully understand what they were, and why some people may not like them, and why some people may tolerate them. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.